Hello there and welcome to World News Program, streaming to you live on All 24 News. I'm your host, Kufa Zachary, and up next are the headlines. After the occupation's withdrawal from a Shifa medical complex, the Gaza government media office reports the killing of around 400 Palestinians, while the World Health Organization confirms the deaths of 21 patients inside the hospital. Also coming up, Palestinian Civil Defense reports as Shifa massacres in Gaza to international bodies, and Hamas urges the international action to stop the massacres and holds Biden fully responsible for the massacre. Also ahead, World Health Organization confirms staff targeting at Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital and makes urgent plea to reopen Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis as thousands await evacuation for treatment. And Algeria condemns international inaction against occupation crimes and reaffirms unwavering support for Palestine's statehood, while Algerian volunteers mobilize to aid Gaza's air bridge for delivering assistance. Stay tuned, we've got all the details right after the break. Well, hello again and welcome to the details. First off in our topical news, the Zionist occupation withdrew from a Shifa medical complex after a 2-week siege and bombardment, leaving massive destruction in the complex and its surroundings, while over 300 civilians, including displaced persons, patients and medical staff, were executed. Usama Ayadi reports.
The Zionist forces withdrew from Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza City after a 2-week military raid on the complex, which left hundreds of deaths and several patients displaced. The forces of the occupation left behind a wasteland of destroyed buildings after a series of bombardments on the vicinity of the hospital.
Destruction is far and wide in the Shifa compound, as you can see. There are large numbers of martyrs. The evacuation of the sick is ongoing. Our first plan is to remove the sick from the Shifa whose lives were protected during the time of the Israeli presence in the Shifa compound. Now we will move the sick and the wounded from the Shifa to the Baptist Hospital, which is the only one in the Gaza Strip still providing services for patients.
Hundreds of residents rushed to the area around the Gaza Strip's largest hospital to check on damage to the surrounding residential districts. Amidst the rubble of destroyed buildings, displaced Palestinians who had sought refuge at the hospital and had been evacuated on several occasions gathered, not knowing where to go.
My house was bombed and everything has gone. I have nothing left. I sought shelter at schools, but they told me there was no space for me. Where do I go? I'm currently staying with some people.
The Zionist military claimed that it had killed and detained hundreds of gunmen in clashes in the area. However, no evidence of the clashes has been presented. Furthermore, numbers of Palestinian unarmed civilians were the target of the Zionist onslaught.
They let in a very small amount of food. That was not enough. We were 150 patients and 50 members of the medical staff. The food was not sufficient at all. No treatment, no medicine. Nothing but bombing for 24 hours. That didn't stop. An immense destruction in the hospital. Sleep, no sleep, and fear and worry. We waited for them to leave. They didn't leave until today, 15 days in this state.
A spokesman for Gaza Civil Emergency Service affirmed that the Zionist forces had executed 2 people whose bodies were found at the complex and used bulldozers to dig up the grounds of the complex and exhume buried bodies.
And in similar development, the Gaza government media office revealed that around 400 Palestinians were killed by Zionist forces during the siege of the Shifa medical complex. The destruction of Shifa and 32 other hospitals was globally condemned in international reaction. For his part, the World Health Organization Director Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus expressed shock at the massacres, mentioning 21 deaths since the siege began. He noted 107 patients, including 4 children, lacked medical care, with 28 in critical condition. Gaza Civil Defense spokesperson Major Mahmoud Abu Basil confirmed documentation and submission of all Zionist occupation crimes at Al-Shifa Medical Complex to international bodies. Abu Basil revealed over 300 martyrs' bodies found within Al-Shifa complex and surrounding residential areas after occupation forces withdrew. For its part, Hamas urged the International Criminal Court to investigate the massacres at Al-Shifa Medical Complex. They labeled the incident as a horrific war crime against civilians, supported by the U.S. administration under President Joe Biden.
We demand the international community and the United Nations to condemn this heinous crime committed by the criminal Zionist enemy against Al-Shifa Hospital and its surroundings, as well as the civilians within it. We urge them to take immediate action to enter the city of Gaza and assess the scale of the crime perpetrated.
Hamas further urged the international community and the United Nations to condemn the massacres at Al-Shifa Medical Complex, demanding immediate access to Gaza City to assess the extent of the damage inflicted on the complex.
We hold the American administration and President Biden personally fully responsible for the crimes, massacres, and deliberate destruction of civilian life in the Gaza Strip, including the health sector and hospitals, which are carried out with American weapons and all forms of military and political support.
The Palestinian Islamic Resistance Movement held the U.S. President Joe Biden's administration fully responsible for the occupation's crimes, massacres, and systematic destruction of civilian life in Gaza.
The extent of destruction and killing in which the enemy excels does not mean that it achieves any victory over the will of our people who are holding on to their land and identity. This barbaric attack on the Gaza Strip once again confirms the enemy's goal of forcing our people to leave their land as part of its plans to end the Palestinian cause. The international community and the United Nations have to condemn this heinous crime committed by the criminal Zionist enemy against the Al-Shifa complex and its surroundings and the citizens therein.
The World Health Organization confirmed that a team, including its members, was targeted by bombing from Zionist occupation forces on the tents of Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir al-Bala, Gaza. WHO Director Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus stated on the X platform that the team was on a humanitarian mission to assess medical needs at the hospital. He renewed the call to protect patients and medical staff, urging adherence to the recent UN Security Council resolution for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The Palestinian Ministry of Health called for the reopening of Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis, southern Gaza, after being shut down by Zionist forces. They appealed to the international institutions and the global community for assistance, emphasizing the critical impact of the closure on health services and patient care, especially following service losses in northern Gaza. Two other developments now, and in the past 24 hours, Zionist forces committed 8 new massacres in Gaza, resulting in the deaths of 63 Palestinians and injuring 94 others. The Palestinian Ministry of Health reported a total of 32,845 martyrs and 75,392 injured since October 7th. Meanwhile, thousands of seriously injured Palestinians face death threats as the occupation obstructs their evacuation from Gaza. Here's Salman Sib.
After enduring over 5 months of relentless assaults and blockade, Gaza faces a worsening humanitarian crisis. Urgent action is imperative to address the critical healthcare needs, especially for advanced surgeries like platinum treatment for leg and knee injuries. Among the victims are Yusuf Manhal Ahmed and his cousin Fadi Abdul Jawad Faris, both injured by explosive materials.
What happened, praise be to Allah. We set up a tent in Al-Nasr, and when they besieged it, we didn't know if we could enter. I entered it suddenly, and thanks be to Allah for everything. I underwent a surgery. I got the platinum, and Allah willing, in another 4 months, I will have to move again. Currently, it's been 2 months.
Yusuf and Fadi, initially treated at Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis, have now relocated to Rafah in the south. They desperately seek evacuation abroad for essential medical care.
They used to shoot at us from the Sahel hospital and chase us, were in the funeral shrouds twice. Then when they took us out of Nasser to the rain, we went to the field. We stayed there for 4 days and didn't leave.
Yusuf and his cousin Faris are among the 1,000 wounded by the Zionist onslaught. Their families hold into hope for evacuation abroad, seeing it as their only chance to escape chronic disability and receive vital medical treatment.
Palestine, meanwhile, urged an emergency meeting of the Arab League Council due to Zionist threats of invasion in Rafah, southern Gaza. Mohammed al-Akluk, Palestine's permanent representative to the League of Arab States, submitted a request to address the ongoing genocide, starvation, and forced displacement inflicted by the occupation on Palestinians. The Zionist forces conducted raids in cities and towns across the occupied West Bank, arresting numerous Palestinians, including women and former prisoners. The raids intensified during Ramadan, with arrests marked by abuse and home destruction. In Al-Quds, bulldozers demolished facilities and shops in Hizma town. Algeria reaffirmed its solidarity with the Palestinian people in their resistance against the Zionist occupation's efforts to displace them, annex their lands, and deny their right to statehood. On the occasion of the 48th anniversary of Land Day, the Algerian Foreign Ministry condemned the international community's failure to compel the Zionist occupation to cease its war crimes and hold it accountable for its actions.
The brotherly Palestinian people, along with all free peoples worldwide, commemorate this occasion amidst the relentless aggression of the Zionist enemy, characterized by murder, forced displacement, and starvation, as part of a clear policy of genocide in Gaza. The ongoing events pose a blatant challenge to international decisions, laws, and norms, as well as the will of people, even in countries supporting the occupying entity. Despite the terrorist practices of the Zionist enemy, which rival unprecedented atrocities of war crimes and crimes against humanity, the international community stands helpless in holding them into account and compelling them to cease their crimes. Algeria reaffirms both leadership and people its unwavering solidarity with the steadfastness and immense sacrifices of the Palestinian people in facing one of the most ruthless, savage, and arrogant armies, confronting its military arsenal and resisting its tyranny and criminal plans aimed at displacement, further annexation of its lands, and elimination of its right to build its state.
Similarly, Algeria's foreign ministry reaffirmed unwavering support for Palestinian statehood, emphasizing the right to establish an independent state with Al-Quds al-Sharif as its capital.
On this day, 48 years ago, the Palestinian people stood against the oppressive decision of the enemy authorities to seize their lands within its relentless, expansionist policy, resorting to the language of bullets and intimidation. On this occasion, Algeria renews its steadfast and unwavering support for the Palestinian people in their trials and tribulation, defending their land, dignity, and right to establish an independent state on all their territories, with Al-Quds al-Sharif as its capital.
Dozens of volunteers overseen by the Algerian Red Crescent are joining efforts to support the country's air bridge for transporting emergency aid to the Palestinian people via Egyptian Al Arish airport. Here's Islam Said.
As the Algerian aircraft landed, an announcement was made about a new aid arriving at Egypt's Al Arish airport for Gaza. As the doors opened and cranes moved, each load carried a heartfelt message. Ridwan, representing the Algerian Red Crescent Association, embraced the journey like many Algerians would. It's an experience he'll never forget. Ridwan quickly took the chance to join the flight, leaving Ghardaia province for the Algerian capital without hesitation.
All this has motivated me and inspired me even more to engage in humanitarian work and pursue international endeavors, not just local ones. Honestly, the feeling I experienced at the outset of this journey is indescribable. It began while I was preparing breakfast for fasting individuals in Ghardaia province. Mr. Abdelmajid Khubzi, the southern representative, contacted me and informed me of a mission to go to Al Arish airport in Egypt. I was so happy about it.
Ridwan's decade-long volunteering journey has been rich with diverse experiences. However, this particular one has left a profound impact on him, especially as he witnessed the aid heading towards the Egyptian-Palestinian border.
Everything we provide to our brothers in Gaza is much less than what they truly deserve. Both the Algerian government and people have a greater ambition to offer more to our brothers in Gaza. Gaza is part of us. It's not different from being our own country and homeland. We ask Almighty Allah to facilitate all their affairs, grant them victory, and alleviate their suffering.
The arrival of aid from Algeria to Gaza signifies a strong act of solidarity. As the aid reaches those in need, Algeria's steadfast commitment highlights its enduring bond with Palestine, embodied through relentless efforts to end the Zionist occupation and foster hope for a brighter future in Palestinian land.
Let's move on now to other news. The Syrian Ministry of Defense reported Zionist raids targeting the Iranian consulate in Damascus, resulting in complete building destruction and casualties. The attack, launched from the occupied Syrian Golan Heights, was met with air defense response. Iran, for its part, confirmed 6 Revolutionary Guard members' deaths, including Quds Force commander Mohammad Reza Zahidi. Syria condemned the aggression as fascist, expressing solidarity with Iran. For his part, Syrian Foreign Minister Faisal al-Miqdad assured support for Iran during a call with his Iranian counterpart and stressed the importance of maintaining diplomatic relations during a visit to the Iranian embassy in Damascus.
We expressed our condolences for the casualties and our sadness for these strikes that are unjustified against the diplomatic corps, and we ensured the importance of continuing Syrian-Iranian relations based on morals and values.
Iran's ambassador to Syria, Hossein al-Akbari, pledged a decisive response to the Zionist occupation's bombing of its consulate in Damascus.
We told you before, Zionist entity knows very well that such crimes and any kind of crimes will not remain without response.
To other topical news, the Spanish Somar coalition accused Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez of bias towards Morocco in the Western Sahara issue. They demanded written explanations about Spain's relations with Morocco, its stance on Western Sahara, and any agreement with Rabat. The initiative was presented by Enrique Santiago, Secretary General of the Spanish Communist Party and Somar representative in the House of Representatives.
What is the Moroccan plan that Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez considers, based on international law and United Nations resolutions, more serious, realistic, and credible? Rather, what is the Sahrawi plan that Sanchez considers unrealistic and not credible? Can the statements of Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez be considered an attempt to influence in favor of Morocco the proposal of the Kingdom of Morocco in the United Nations mediation process?
And in Algeria, the country is planning to further increase wages to support citizens' purchasing power. In a recent media meeting, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, pledged to double Algerians' wages within 3 years and achieve 100% increases by 2027. And finally in our news, and in Belgium this time, thousands of Antwerp residents gathered in the Brokerhoed district on Sunday evening to combine Muslim iftar and Christian Easter celebrations by sharing a meal on a 2-kilometer-long table, breaking the record for the longest community dinner. Here's Sofian Kinturi.
In a remarkable fusion of cultures, 2 kilometers salmon staffel united Muslims and Christians in Belgium during Ramadan and Easter celebrations. This unique initiative, spearheaded by Antwerp City in collaboration with several partners, aimed to foster inclusion and bridge gaps amidst global tensions.
It's an initiative spearheaded by the district in collaboration with several esteemed partners, such as FMV, SAMO Antwerp. Our journey commenced with registrations a few months back, and we've garnered around 7,000 participants thus far. This endeavor holds significant weight, especially in our current climate of polarization and disenchantment. It's all about fostering inclusion and fostering connections, about uniting individuals. Considering the tumultuous times we find ourselves in globally, not just within Belgium, but across the world, there is an intense tension. What better way to address this than by gathering people around a table, breaking bread together and truly emphasizing our commonalities, rather than fixating on our differences.
Taking place in the vibrant Borgerud district, even like Sunday's community dinner, further enhance Antwerp's culture tapestry.
To bring people together, it's about fasting, so we try to start from something that they share, and to use like the different diversity in religion, in culture, to bring people together and to enjoy each other's holidays.
It's like good to bring people together from different cultures and like learn about each other in like a way like eating is like a social event, so I think it's like very nice.
Last year saw around 2,500 attendees gathered around 1 kilometer-long table. This year, the table stretched twice as long, accommodating a staggering 7,000 registered participants, marking the second successful installment of this communal gathering.
And with this, ladies and gentlemen, our program draws to a close. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, have a good one.